Hello everyone, and welcome to my first video on my new channel. Today we are going to be reading What's a Little Kink Exploration Between Friends by Tumbleweed Chaser on AO3. I will link the fanfiction in the description if you wish to check out any of the tags or share some love to the author. On to reading. Izuku felt the tension in his shoulders relax as he finally entered his shared apartment. The day had been tedious, a long stream of petty crime that was hardly physically exertive, but wore at his nerves and emotions. Plus, he'd been hit by some woman's quirk. She hadn't meant to do it, to be fair, but she'd activated her quirk when her shop was being robbed. And who just robs an adult's toy store anyway? When Izuku had crouched down beside her, she'd startled so bad that her quirk was set off and she'd passed out before he could ask any questions. There didn't seem to be any worrying effects, and he'd been summoned away from the scene to take care of another runner several blocks over. In a few quiet moments of the day, he'd noticed a slight itch, a niggling at the back of his head, like a craving for sweets or a cigarette, but not for anything that Izuku could put his finger on. It was easy to dismiss when he needed to, but strange enough to ask his agent to get more information about the quirk he'd been hit with. So far, there'd been no response, and since work was through, the feeling was more present in his mind. Once inside his home, he removed his sneakers and slid his feet into the slippers. He grinned absently at Katsu's boots neatly tucked away. They'd moved in together with Kirishima and Ashido after high school to save on rent. Their agencies were all close by to the central location of the city, where it was hard to access affordable housing and the subway. Pooling their resources had made sense. Some of their classmates had been skeptical that Bakugo and Midoriya could live together peacefully, but they'd both matured in high school. Apologies had been made and boundaries had been built. But Kirishima and Ashido had moved into their own apartment a few years later to explore their relationship further. But then, Midoriya and Izuku had made enough money to continue living there, so they turned the third bedroom into a weight room and continued about their day-to-day lives. Altogether, they'd been living together comfortably in the apartment for 6 years. Occasionally they squabbled, but nothing like the fights of their youth. Izuku lazily shuffled into the kitchen where Bakugo was preparing dinner. The itch in the back of his mind grew stronger, but he shook it off and greeted his roommate. "Smells good, Kacchan?" The blonde glanced back. "Looked like shit." Green-haired man chuckled. "It was a long day. You hurt?" "Nah, just tired." "Sit, I'll bring you food when it's ready." "Okay," Izuku said, taking a seat at the nearby table, his back to his roommate. He laid his head down in his arms for a short while. His phone chirped, a special tone for his agent, and the tired hero lifted his head in hopes of an answer concerning the mystery quirk. He'd opened the email with a sigh. "Hero Deku, I was able to contact the woman who accidentally used your quirk on you today. Firstly, she wanted to apologize for doing so, and thank you for your assistance today. Secondly, she assures that the quirk will not inhibit your work, nor should it cause you any physical discomfort outside a sense of craving, though the quirk is unusual in nature. Her quirk is called kink." Izuku made a startled choking sound as he attempted to gasp and scream at the same time. Behind him, he heard Bakugo mutter, "Stupid Deku, can't even breathe properly," before more loudly asking, "You need water?" "No!" Izuku said far too quickly and loudly, defensively, and pulling his phone closer to his body to read more. "Her quirk is called kink and heightens lustful feelings. She stated that until the quirk is satiated, you will have a constant but ignorable feeling of want. This is its dormant mode. To become active, 2 parameters must be met. 1. You must be presented or reminded of a personal kink, she said, such as nurse outfits, spanking, or bondage. And 2. You must be in the presence of someone who you find both attractive and whom you trust. She stated the quirk will work its way out of your system once all of the kinks have been explored with your choice of partner. She also emphasized that this does not affect inhibition, self-control, etc. Only increases your sensation of lustful want and makes achieving climax easier. How long it lasts depends on how quickly you explore your kinks. I suppose as your agent, I should remind you to please be responsible during these explorations and have fun, I guess. Sato. Izuku was beet red and wheezing. His kinks? How the hell was he supposed to know what his kinks were? His partners had all been very vanilla. Not that he hadn't been willing to explore, but they all seemed very content to keeping things simple. He skimmed the email again. Nurse outfits? Is that a kink people have? That didn't seem very exciting. Nurses are hard workers and usually cover it in spit, vomit, blood, or blood from his experience. Spanking? Did he like spanking people? He didn't think he'd ever tried that. Hitting a partner didn't sound fun. Wonder what that even feels like. He considered being on the receiving end and shivered as the itch grew stronger. Maybe being spanked would have been kinda nice, actually. The actual fuck are you talking about? Bakugo asked, setting a plate of food in front of Midoriya and shooting him a questioning glare. You look like you're gonna have an aneurysm. The fuck is wrong with you? Izuku clutched his phone closer to his chest and looked up to his roommate and tried not to look as embarrassed and weirdly guilty as he felt. But as a strong chest, thick biceps, and strong hands, a brief thought of being spanked by Katsuki flashed in his mind and made Izuku make a weird wheezing noise at the realization. You're acting fucking weird, even for you, Bakugo groused, glare deepening. I'm fine, Izuku squeaked. Bullshit, give me your phone. What? The shoulder hero said, clutching his phone and shifting it to shield it from Bakugo's line of sight. What? Why do you need? You don't need, he sputtered. The explosive hero moved quick, nearly upsetting the table and their dinner as he grappled Izuku from behind, a known weakness of him, known since childhood, tickling his sides to his advantage. Little did he know the close proximity and somewhat rough treatment was having a very different effect on Izuku, whose mind was filled with lustful thoughts and dick twitched in interest. Another squeaky wheeze and a flinch away from Bakugo's touch, and the blonde had captured the phone from his victim's hand. Of course, once it was out of his hand, Izuku flailed and tried to reach for it. Bakugo used his height to his advantage, an old game of keep-away, at play as he thumbed in Izuku's code and read the email that Midoriya had gotten so worked up about. Holy shit, Bakugo said with a hint of sadistic glee. A kink quirk? You got hit with a kink quirk? Kachan, Izuku whined. Give me my phone, you jerk. Oh, hell no, he shifted, so that he could see the details, thumbing at the screen to read more. Is this what you were muttering about? Thinking about some hot piece of ass in a nurse outfit, huh? I was not, said Izuku, who placed his foot to the back of Katsuki's knee and forced him to fall to the ground, yanking Izuku down with him and dropping the phone so it skittered across the kitchen floor. Katsuki was laughing as Izuku crawled over him towards his phone. What then, getting tied up? Spanking? Probably spank you for tripping me. And after I made... Oh... Hovering over him, Izuku had seemingly frozen at Katsuki's words. A deep blush formed under his freckles. He was panting slightly, eyes screwed shut. He looked wrecked already. A brave glance downwards, and Katsuki found an obvious bulge in Izuku's pants. Oh, he repeated dumbly. Izuku let a deep breath out and carefully extracted himself on the floor, fetching his phone as he strictly avoided eye contact. Let's, He cleared his throat, eyes darting anywhere but Katsuki. Let's see. Yeah, said Katsuki, licking his lips. Yeah. He lifted himself from the floor and made his way to the table, shortly after joined by Izuku, who looked like he wanted to puke, cry, or run. Awkwardly, they tucked into the meal. Katsuki stole glances at Izuku, trying to gauge the situation. He almost tried to start up a conversation, more than once, but didn't know what to say. You made it too spicy again, Izuku said, even though he wasn't sniffling like he used to. Nah, Katsuki said, a strange but welcome wave of relief watching over him. I made it just right. Their stilted conversation ended, both men working through their food as if the answer to all their unasked questions would be hidden underneath. Of course, when they cleared their plates, there were only dirty dishes beneath. Are you done? Izuku asked, trying to act normal, but tense all the same. Katsuki grunted in reply, but pushed his plate towards the other man in confirmation. The shorter man cleared the table, rinsing the dishes off at the sink as Katsuki watched. Sorry, Izuku said as he shut off the water. About, your agent would be pretty pissed if you won a sexcapade, huh? At that, Izuku looked up, wide, shocked eyes finally meeting Katsuki's. He forced a laugh. Yeah, I guess he would. And from what I read, it needs to be with someone you trust, right? I guess I'll just have to get used to it, Izuku said, the fake smile he used for the media on his face. I have experience, you know, Katsuki suggested, the words escaping him without any real thought on what exactly he was offering, with scenes in a kinky play, spanking. Izuku visibly shivered, blush reforming, and hand reached the counter in an effort to steady himself. When he didn't respond, Katsuki continued. I'm gay, you're bi, we're both hot and single, both live here, no need to worry about paparazzi or whatever. The sharded man's breath had picked up again. Katsuki could see the outline of his cock pressing against his pants. New confidence bound, Katsuki grinned. I clearly meet your qualifications, he said, with a flippant gesture towards Izuku's crotch. I don't even... Izuku started to speak, but his thoughts petered out with an embarrassed sigh and averting of his eyes. Don't even what? No. We don't have to do anything, Izuku. Katsuki felt the urgent need to assure. Just saying, I'm willing to help you out. The email said I have to work through all of them, Izuku said, frustration evident in his voice. Bakugo felt his eyebrows raise in surprise, a chuckle escaping him. What, you got a bunch of kinks nerds, some checklist on one of your notebooks of all the dirty things that turn you on? No, Izuku said petulantly, crossing his arms. Would be easier if I did. Wait, Katsuki processed. Are you saying that you don't know what your kinks are? You're 24 years old. What's your favorite porn genre? I don't really watch porn, Izuku confessed. You're jaded, though. Didn't your partners ever, ask to get choked or something? What? Izuku asked, surprised, facing Katsuki again. No, they never asked to be choked. They all just... He bit his lips shut and huffed in annoyance. Just what? Why are we talking about my sex life? Because your sex life is being affected by a quirk and I want to help. They both stilled. You want to help? Izuku questioned. It was Katsuki starting to be embarrassed. A light blush heated his cheeks, but he refused to back down. You may have featured in a few fantasies over the years. What? You never thought once about fucking me? Bakugo wanted to glow at the telltale flush and gaze aversion that denoted Izuku's embarrassed guilt. Look, he continued, I'm gonna go sit across the sofa. If you want to, you can come lay across my lap and let me spank you. He pressed on through Izuku's sudden coughing fit. If you don't want to, then you can go to your room and pretend this never happened. Either way, I'm pretty sure our friendship can handle it. With that, the blonde got up from his seat at the table and disappeared into their little living room. Izuku hesitated. The itch in his brain told him to go, present his ass to Katsuki, but the logical part of his brain was terrified of the consequences. But then, Katsuki had already said it, hadn't he? Their friendship had survived much worse periods than sex. Izuku gave in to so few vices these days. He deserved fun, right? A chance to try something new? He steadied himself with a deep breath, then made his way to the living room, where Katsuki was sitting in the middle of their sofa, arms stretched along the back, muscles on display, and making Izuku's mouth water. Any thought of chickening out was gone at the sight of him. Izuku stepped back, fidgeting with the hem of his shirt, eyes down. How do you want me? Pretty sure I made myself clear earlier. Close? Katsuki hummed thoughtfully. Let's stay dressed tonight. See how we feel about this before going too far, yeah? Izuku swallowed and nodded. Right, yeah. He then slipped his feet out of his slippers, feeling silly in them at the moment, and then made his way into Katsuki's lap, ass up as his head dangled aside the sofa. Bakugo's mouth watered at the sight in front of him. Even clothed, Izuku's ass was a prize. His shoot style sculpted his glutes and thighs into works of art. He'd thought about it a lot, and now here Izuku was, laying over his lap and presenting it like a present. He placed a hand on the back of Izuku's thigh, noting the tiny flinch and then shiver of the other man. Slowly, he ran his hand to the crest of Izuku's backside and gave her a squeeze. He heard Izuku's light gasp, stifled by how he pressed his face into the couch cushion. Katsuki put his other hand in Izuku's hair. He didn't tug, but he did pull slightly, guiding Izuku's face so he could hear the little moan that escaped his lips. I'm hiding any of those pretty noises, you understand? Izuku nodded, his eyes squeezed shut. Say it. Yes, he said. I understand. Good, Katsuki said, with a firm grasp at Izuku's cheek, spreading it from the other even though he couldn't see what was hidden under the layers of clothing. He ran his hand on the seam aligned with Izuku's crack, a teething move that pulled a light whimper from the green-haired man. I'm going to give you 10, Bakugo instructed, and I want you to count, understand? Izuku nodded again. Yes. If you decide you don't like this or I'm hitting too hard, you need to check in. I like to use a color system. Green is all good, red is slow down, yellow is slow down, and red means stop. Understand? Yes, sir, whispered Izuku, and oh, did Katsuki like the sound of that, especially with the hard dick currently pressed into his thigh. His hand in Izuku's hair gentled, scratching lightly and soothing at his scalp. Just as Midoriya leaned into the soft touch, Bakugo brought down the first strike to his ass. The motion drew a satisfying gasp out of Izuku, followed by a breathy one. Bakugo brought his hand down on the other cheek. 2. Izuku keened, followed by hoarsely moaning. 3, 4. Doing great, Bakugo praised, giving a hard squeeze to Izuku's no doubt reddened ass. The praise and sensation pulled a loud moan from Izuku, who humped against Bakugo's leg, putting extra pressure against both his and Katsuki's erections. Didn't say you could hump me like some bitch in heat, Katsuki scolded, and 2 more hard hits came down on Izuku's ass, causing a delightful jiggle even in the constraint of his pants. I need... Izuku whined again, his eyes becoming glossy. Katsuki pulled at his hair again. What's the count? Izuku's eyes were wet with unshed tears as he tried not to move, not to buck into Katsuki's lap. 6. Color? Green. Green, please keep. I need it, please. How could Katsuki refuse? 7. Izuku moaned. 8. Oh, gods, please. Almost done, baby, Bakugo said, dick painfully hard from watching Izuku come undone, and the tears that were now leaking from his eyes. He brought his hand down again, harder than he'd been doing. 9. Izuku practically screamed, followed by a chant of, please, please, please. Mercifully, Katsuki gave him his final spanking, thrilled as Izuku sobbed out a whiny 10. He petted the other man's hair, rubbed soothingly at his legs as he carefully avoided the now tender area. Such a good boy. Perfect, baby, just perfect. Izuku keened. I need to. I want to. Can I please? What do you need? Use your words. Giving it instinct, Izuku humped again. Need to come, please. I need to come, Katsuki. He thought I might just come in his pants from the sound of his name on Izuku's lips. Come here, baby. Start on my lap. Izuku was quick to do as told. Thick thighs settled on either side of Katsuki's hips. Go ahead, baby. Make us come. With a grateful moan, Izuku went to work. He buried his face into the crook of Katsuki's neck, hips snapping forward to grind their clothed directions against each other, all with the panting, thank you, thank you, thank you, and hot breaths all over Katsuki's neck. The blonde placed his hands on the shorter man's hip, willing himself not to buck up. He wanted Izuku to finish them. He was panting and groaning in pleasure at the delicious friction from Izuku's grinding, so very close to finishing. Bite me, Izuku said. I want you to mark me, please, Katsuki, please. Katsuki put his lips on the closest patch of skin, the juncture of Izuku's neck and shoulder, and began his work marking the skin. Just like that, Izuku was coming, but he didn't stop moving until Bakugo's own orgasm hit. The blonde clutched the green hair close to his body, both overheated, sweating, panting, but euphoric. He handed both hands over Izuku's back, gently scratching at his scalp until their breathing was calm again. Izuku lifted his head from Katsuki's shoulder, a dopey smile on his face. That was amazing, Kachan. Fuck yeah, it was, nerd, Katsuki agreed. He was struck by a sudden desire to kiss said nerd, but held back. That wasn't what they agreed to. You feel okay? Wonderful, Izuku said, smile growing. You? Fantastic, Bakugo answered, but sticky. Izuku laughed. Yeah, we should laugh up. We should clean up. You can shower first, Katsuki offered. You'll want to lotion any red marks and chafing you have. Okay? Okay, Kachan, I will, Izuku said. He seemed to hesitate, but finally removed himself from the other man's lap. If I want to try something else, later, can I, Of course, Izuku, Katsuki said. Just let me know what you need, okay? Okay, Kachan. Alright guys, that was chapter 1 of What's a Little Kink Exploration Between Friends. The chapter name is called Spanking. I will link this fanfiction down in the description box below if you would like to check it out. Please leave a like if you enjoyed the video and comment anything I can improve on. Thank you much Thank you so much for listening, and goodbye!